Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Cone Racing League, round number 2 of season number 8 here in Tier 4. The circus has rolled across from China all the way to the party capital of Brazil down in the tropics, Sao Paulo, Interlagos, to be exact. The 2.677 mile track hosting round 2 here of this amazing season 8 so far. Already been an incredible season. 15 corners, 5 to the right, the rest to the left. One, we're down in the tropics. We're not uncommon to see a little bit of thunder, but there'll definitely will be sparks and lightning on track after what we seen last week. Safety. Oh, joking myself there. Safety cars could be a factor, however, so it will be one to watch out for. SUFC, after taking pole and victory last time out in China, will be looking to continue his streak at the top of the championship. Deluxe, after his nightmare finish. P2 looking on the cards, maybe P1 if he could make a daring move. Definitely up for grabs until a final lap spin, some drop all the way down to P9. But if your name's IR Marshall or WTL Curley, that really came up good for you. The two brothers sharing the podium and looking to continue that fine form. I am, of course, your host for the season, CRL Freefall, or you can just call me Scotty. And I'm once again joined by the man, the myth, the absolute legend. It's Taze Leroy. QRT Leroy now, sorry, that's your old name.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I mean, Brazil, it's one of those tracks. And when I say those tracks, I mean the ones like, when you see the calendar, if you're a joke for Brazil, it's just such an amazing track. And yeah, looking forward to another night of great races here in Colin. It's trying to provide us a good race, and who knows what Brazil's going to throw up.
Absolutely. It's, like you say, it's one of those tracks you just look at and you think, you're in for a belter here. But over the 4 tiers, if you get one kind of boring race, shall we say, you've been royally missed out on there. It's just one of those tracks that just seems to throw up action, whether it be safety car, weather drama, or just good side-by-side racing. First lap of the day then in this 18-minute qualifying session. Of course, set the grid for a 36-lap race here in Sao Paulo. It's going to be BX37 Pro, a name that you old school boys, a lot of the OGs will remember, maybe even remember it as Big Ben back in the day. He's been around for a number of seasons now, currently trying to cut his way through traffic, and that is an Alfa Romeo completely blocking him. He's had to just make a diving move into turn number 8, but looks like he's gonna continue this lap as a little bit of a banker. Pole times tonight then, we've seen in Tier 3 an almighty lap, putting us down into the 07s. The rest of the drivers, the 19, not able to make it into those 07s, so I'd be surprised if we see that here in Tier 4, but a low 08, maybe an 8.3 and 8.4 could potentially be in the cards if they can string up the lap here, Lee. Maybe I'm being over ambitious, maybe no. We'll wait and see. Ben, though, is going to set the first lap of the session, give us an indication. Of course, getting a little bit blocked. I think he ran wide as well. It is going to be a 1:13.5. I expect he'll improve on that. He is a pacey driver at his best of times. Mark Wilson then, he's approaching line, has invalidated his lap. Is SUFC out? Yes, he is. He's just beginning his lap, Lee. I don't know if you want to take us a little tour around Interlagos.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So into turn 4, I want to break about 100 metre, but going into 5th gear, 4th gear, whatever. He's able to nicely now through the pattern twisty middle sector. Obviously, Brazil throws up many challenges. You have the straight, the first third sector. You also have the very twisty and windy middle sector there with it makes it a great track. It goes into the middle sector now, then the 2nd gear. So he has cars ahead of him. That's an Aston Martin, I believe, and he gets to the win, honestly. Now through the infamous Alex Albon corner, as you might refer to it. Then the 2nd gear. A little bit wild, but then gets a nice exit. And he has a teammate ahead of him. I believe might give him some shame. Well, it's not his teammate, never mind, I'm being stupid. Through the final corner he goes, it's a good exit, and now he will pick up a little bit of a toll from the AlphaTauri here as he comes up to the line. Last week's winner, can he set the pace as we cross the line here for his first lap of the day? It is a 108.9, and Wuban on a 108.8 is on pole at the moment. That's a very good banking lap from Wuban.
Absolutely, 700 separating the two at the top at the moment. CRL Murphy currently sitting pretty in P3 at 109.296 sets him up there. Let's get on board with a man who never got much action last week as an AlphaTauri, doing very good, completely getting off track. It is SpiderRob95, of course. An unfortunate disconnection, and we believe it's a bug due to reconnecting. obviously reconnected on the first lap, but he did so before the 5 red lights had went out, and we think that had glitched the game out where he was still in control of his car, but he was watching it how me and you are watching it right now, Lee. He was in the spectator cam trying to drive an F1 car in a league race, and there's just I don't care how good you are at the game. There's no way you can manage that. He's going to put his first flying lap of the night in and looking to improve on what was a royally disappointing Grand Prix last time out in China. Up the hill then on the exit of 12 into 13. I've got some corner names here, but they're all in Spanish, so you'll surely get a laugh at that later on tonight, folks, if you stick about. Turn 15, for example, that little bend just at the pit lane, Acrobalacancantes. If you can say that perfectly, then you're doing better than me. Spider Rob, though, a 109.415, provisional P4 at the moment for him. I'm not too sure who crossed the line after. I think it was one of the McLarens. It must have been AFL, of course. The man who won Tier 4 last time out here, last season, he took victory here at Interlagos. Quite a few history or regulars, you could say, around here in the CRL scene. Murphy being one of them, his teammate in the McLaren. He's had a bit of an on-off love-hate relationship, but he secured a podium all the way back in Season 4. Elsewhere, you've had drivers competing in Tier 2, Tier 3, scoring high points scoring positions. So it's an experienced grid. Speaking of experience, though, here's a man on his first CRL experience. It is my arch nemesis, Hasbulla. Of course, we had the little prediction at the start of the season. Who would win in a fight, Hasbulla or CRL Freefall? And 61% of you voted for Hasbulla, so thank you very much for that confidence. A little concern of mine, though, is that red light's flashing in the back of that Alfa Romeo, Lee. He hasn't got his overtake on.
Oh, he hasn't. Yeah, that is, well, it's not the quickest way to go around the track. But, I mean, I'll choose your preference. But yeah, and now overtake it, and then we'll lose you a lot of time. Maybe, it's very similar to the one accident, so it could, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's on purpose, so probably just an accident. But it probably realises it by the time he finishes that, and he'd be screaming at himself, so yeah.
Coming up the hill, why am I still at 100% ERS? Realise you've not flicked it across. I think we've all done that at one point, but we'll see how this first lap comes in. He has been using the DRS, he has seemed to be pushing. There's a little bit of ERS usage now. He's maybe been listening in and heard us, or unless he was maybe doing a little double out lap here and he's about to start his lap. He does cross the line at 1:10.3, so you can see the difference that ERS can make, and maybe just not pushing as much. He seems to have it on now, so maybe placed here in Tier 4, but maybe quite an experienced driver going for a double outlap here. He is going to have a tow of the Williams in front on the run down to Turn 4 and Turn 5, of course. Desida do Lago, I believe is how you pronounce it. Purple Sector 1 there, judging by the map. So potential for a pole lap here if you can link up the rest. Number 6 uphill right-hander Ferradura, I believe is how it's pronounced, before 7 and 8 here. 9 at the left-hander, I think I can say this one, it's Pinheirinho. That's probably about the easiest one we've got. And then the Albon corner, it's a bit easier than saying Bico da Pato. Left-hander there of Mergilio, and then into, I think this is Juncao, you pronounce it? Answers on a postcard. Up the hill then, that little kink there is turn number 13. This little kink here is turn number 14, also known as Subida dos Boxes. I can say the last word decent in that one at least. 15 then, the little kink up to the line for Hasbulla's second lap. It is a bit better, a 109.852. So Purple Sector 1, maybe a little bit deceiving, but we'll wait and see. Trundles, meanwhile, in the Williams ahead, set up and put a 109.213 on the board. So best of the times coming in. Marshall coming in with a 109.485. And if you look at that, realistically, from Trundles down to about even Mark Wilson in P10, there's not a huge gap separating this grid.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, Brazil. It's very close qualifying, obviously, and not that all of a track, so it's usually very minimal gaps that make the difference. I mean, that's why I love Brazil, because the smallest mistakes can punish you, and obviously I think these 3 or 4 guys over challenge. So yeah, I think they'll be over for tonight, and hopefully we'll see as close. Hopefully we'll see it as close in the race as in qualifying.
Absolutely. Like you say, it is, here we go. We've got a 108, 109 lap times round here. You think China last week we were doing the mid-30s. So you're a good 25 seconds less of a lap. you multiply that over a race, we were 20, what were we, 28 laps last week? It adds up, so we're 36 laps here tonight to make up for the shorter race distance. So, like you say, those margins become finer, those gaps become tighter, and hopefully that'll reflect to the race, which in China last week we saw some almighty battles on and off track, in the pits, in qualifying as well. So to see if that can translate across and get even tighter would be an incredible feat for these drivers. Topher is the man I'm on board with this lap. I believe he's raced here in CRL before a few times. I've got my little fact sheet, however, which we can quickly check against. Yes, he raced here in Tier 4 last season. Could only manage a P12, but he did finish the race. He did pick up a point to be exact. So that's his sort of gauntlet for tonight, you could say. If you're always improving on your personal best, then you're always making progress. It doesn't matter how big, how small. So he'll be aiming for probably a top 10 finish tonight in the Ferrari. He's given a nice tow, though, to the sister team of the Alfa Romeo behind. And up to the line he goes for his first lap. It is a 109.594 as FGUFC completely smashes the provisional pole time out of the park. A 108.580.
Yeah, and SRC continuing strong from his last week's result, and at the looks here, he's 1 second up on his time as he comes to the final corner. It's definitely looking like a good challenge. SFC, obviously these two battled in the race. Obviously it didn't end up working for the looks in the end, but it seems these two are going to battle for it again. Here's Luxie up to the line now. What time we set? It will be a 108.2 as he beats SFC by 3/10. That is a very good up by Luxie.
Just for context, that 108.265 would have had him, I think, about P2, maybe P3 or P4 in Tier 3. It just depends on those final two numbers. Tier 3 pole time, of course, getting into the low 7s. Then after that, it was, I think it was an 8.1 and then 8.2 as it followed. So he'd been up near the top in qualifying in Tier 3. Mark Wilson has retired, looks to be in the pits, however. Curley setting his first lap, of course, P2 last week. He's invalidated this lap for the Red Bull, so we'll either need to go again or dive into the pits for a fresh set of softs. Of course, if you go for the softer tyre option here, you've got 4 sets of softs available in qualifying. Use them, although you miss out on one on the race. But it is one of those tracks where you can, of course, get 4 runs in. It's a big decision, that, Lee. Do you go for the 4 runs? If you say you go for the softer option instead of having 2 mediums or 2 hards for the race, you go for the softer option. You know what rain can be like. You know what safety cars will be like. Put yourself in one of these drivers' seats. Are you saving a set, or are you just going guns a-blazing and trying to get as far up this grid as you can?
See, it really depends. Like, if you're confident, in yourself that you can get the laps done in the 3 laps, then yeah, I would try and save a set. But if you feel like you need the 4 tires, because of how close Tier 4 is, I mean, qualifying could be a big difference. But saying that, remember, there is also of action. So, that put me on the spot here, Scott. I'm actually not too sure what I'd do myself, to be honest with you. I'd probably have to say, if it was me personally, I would try and save a set. Because, I mean, Brazil throws up action, and the extra set of softs could come in very handy towards the end of the race.
Definitely. Late safety car, or a little change in the weather, perhaps. If it starts off intermediate wets, whatever, and then dries up, it could be crucial for the race. I don't ever have that bother, Lee, because I'm normally starting at the back anyway, and I prefer to have 2 sets of mediums for the race because, well, I'm not going to give away my strategy for Thursday night, but I've got I'm praying for a lap 1 safety car, put it that way.
Yeah.
Victor Mean then, Tier 3 last season down into Tier 4. Had a little bit of a time to forget in China, nothing really too ablazing. Currently P9 on the qualifying grid, but you look a couple of attempts up, could fire him up as high as P6. We've got a few drivers creeping down into the 108s. Wuban, one of them, I missed that. Murphy down into the 108.669. He's looking pretty strong once again. I believe it was a P7 start for him last time out. I've got all the stats about where they finished every other season, but I don't have the stats for where they finished last week. Pretty much just about typical that. I can't even remember where to find them. Oh boy, we're having a nightmare.
It's okay. I'll take over from you for now. So Victor Mean, coming to the middle sector spree, he was 3 tenths up the first sector. As comes towards the end of the middle sector, he is now 6 tenths up. That would be enough to put him ahead of Mean Moody, I think, just about and into top 5 for us now. Victor Mean round the final few corners, obviously the last few corners. I mean, I don't actually corners, but Eric Zitter's corners as now he comes up to the line with the mean. He sets a 108.8 flat. That is a very satisfying time as he goes P5.
Very, very solid time. Puts him just in front of his teammate FRL Mean Moody. Victor Mean, I'm saying he had quite a sort of race to forget. He finished P8. It was just one of those races that went under the radar, I think. So that'll be his aim, I suppose, for this week, trying to prove upon that. Murphy, one I was speaking about there as well, qualified well, dropped the P13 in the race. So again, he'll be looking to maybe improve upon that. And Trunders, he's currently up there at P7 now. I believe he was one that got sort of the rug pulled out of him with the safety car, getting a quick drive through, so not reflective of what his race pace can be like. He'll be one to watch. He's put himself up in that mix so far in qualifying. He's sitting in the pits. He's going to have time for one more run once he gets out, of course. You're about just over a 1 minute lap, so realistically you can scave it quite late for coming out of the pits to start your final run. Ghost Angel 1 is likely on what will be his final run. Low on the ERS coming up the start finish. I mean, he could get a cool down lap and a recharge lap, but those tyres are not going to be quite up this pace with the grip. And in fact, he's going to call it quits and head into the pits. So it will be P15 at best for him. His teammate BX37 Pro is rounding the final turns now to try and set what could be his final lap time here in qualifying. DRS wide open on the AlphaTauri. And straight into the pits. You make me look brilliant here tonight. Ferrari next of IR Marshall. I believe he is just starting a lap time, so we'll catch him in a short while. Hasbulla is in the pits, so it's FUFC. Just finishes a lap time at 108.370. Sees him retake P2 over from Wuban. Topher, I believe, is just starting his final lap, as is Scooter Claim. Second ever race here in CRL F1, of course, DNF'd last week, P18 in China. But P11 in qualifying at the moment. That's a decent showing at this stage for your second ever F1 league race.
Yes, it is. The Scooter is now coming to the Minnesota. He was about 700 up, so a good first set so far. Has come to Minnesota. It's very good to keep it in 6th gear through turn 5 and 6 as he goes and breaks nicely through the Minnesota. Obviously, a very hard section to get right, but when he get it right, it's very satisfying as he comes now through the Albon corner. Hitting the apex now, isn't he? And we're getting an exit. Coming around the long left hander now, and into the final corner. Well, not the actual final corner, but the real final corner is what I'm going to call it. Round here now, Scooter Cam, obviously a very good shot last week as the clock has finished. Scooter Cam up to the line now will set a 109.5. He actually lost time. I think that's due to the lack of ERS he had on his lap towards the end. But Wuban now coming up to the line. Can he snatch Paul off though? Can he snatch the P2 back off HFC? Wuban up to the line and he improves, but he does not improve his position.
Improves by just under 400, so it wasn't enough to snatch P2. Deluxe in the pits, knowing he's pretty much got pole, and as Victor Mean, no, he can't because he's invalidated. Murphy into the pits also. AFL up to the line. He does not improve, having a 6-second slower lap. A Mercedes into the pits, so it will be Trunders next to set a lap time. Does not improve, misses out very slightly on improving, and a small improvement could have seen him go P9. It just shows Trundles was up there around about the top half, the top pack of the field, and he's dropped all the way down. IR Marshall, currently winning car still on track, and I love that. He's getting out of the way of cars that aren't even being controlled by players. That is courtesy at its finest. So Marshall will be the one to end our qualifying session. I don't know if he's maybe... I thought he'd maybe run out of fuel, but I think he was just done his last flying run and decided, well, that's that. We'll just not get in anybody's way. It will come on around. So then, Lee Deluxe, he missed out on pole last week. He missed out on a good result to an unfortunate spin, but he has bested his what looks to be the kind of the two main rivals. You could see these are the Lightning McQueen and the Chick Hicks of Tier 4 for this season's Piston Cup. Wuban, though, lurking in the background, P3 in the Haas, followed by Murphy, and Spider Rob is having the most horrendous season when it comes to luck. A 5 place penalty for for illegal blocking. Now, I don't know how you block somebody when you're in your pit box. Codemasters, sort it out. Come on. So I believe that will drop him down to P13.
Yeah. I mean, this is apparently racing game of the year. It is. He's had. I mean, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. To be honest, so.
You've just got to. It is. I don't even know what that's for. Illegal blocking, but for what? It's a horrible one as well because it's qualifying. It's not as if the stewarding team can jump in mid-session and bump him up. So yeah, another week of connection issue, I suppose you could almost call it, for Spider-Rob. But Deluxey, the man of qualifying, his teammate, of course, just over a 10th clear at the top of SUFC. Wuban, 2.5 attempts back on pole in the Haas. Murphy, P4, followed by Victor Mean, Moody, Curley, Spider-Rob, AFL, and Trundles. Although Spider-Rob going to have that 5 place grid penalty. Trundles, Marshall, Topher, Scooter Clay, Mark Wilson, Ghost Angel 1, Hasbala, BX37 Pro, DS Baker, the Maverick, and of course, Webstappen. I couldn't remember if it was Vabstappen or Wabstappen there at the end. But yeah, Spider-Rob, a little bit annoyed, of course, with that 5-second penalty, and I don't think anybody can blame him. 5 place penalty, it should be said.
Yeah,
but,
as it is dry, which, I mean, it looks dry, but you never know. I mean, around Brazil, as we said, the weather can change very quickly, but a dry start, which is kind of unwelcome, you know, Scott. I think in low-key means you were kind of hoping for some rain, but a dry race, tier 4, at the best grid, in calm, and no bias towards that at all. It should still be a good race.
Oh, absolutely. It's Brazil. It's always a great time in Brazil when it comes to racing. It can be a messy time. It can be a chaotic time. But a dry race probably gives us the best time. It's some good, clean action, some real sort of pace being shown, or a true pace being shown. And judging by this qualifying times at the top, I think we're expecting a dry race completely throughout. Of course, 36 laps ahead, although, I've just had some news coming in from the chat on YouTube. I was just going to give a big shout out to everybody. Reese Allen Jones, who I believe is either Victor Mean or MKP, or I may have completely got that wrong. Of course, MKP in tier 3, so he's maybe sitting in a party. Late rain, possible rain in the race, being told. So maybe just at the end of this Grand Prix, things could spice up. Yeah, it is Victor Mean. I knew it was one of the Scottish boys. Thank you very much for that info, Victor Mean. That is lovely to know from a commentator's perspective. Big shout out to everybody else. Spider-Rob, and just, of course, a little bit of disgruntledness over the 5 place grid penalty. I don't think you can really say much against him for that. Daniel Brewers is, of course, in loving the support again for her man Mark Wilson, as it is Atomic. He's always in giving a bit of support. Rotation, another one, and Steiny, along with Carl Vandenberg, Cold Paradox, and a few other goats of the community. Formation lap time then, Lee. What we're predicting for the tyres?
Yeah, so everyone apart from SUFC, who's trying to do again, Victor Mean, Topher, Spider-Rob, Mark Wilson, and Ghost Ninja 1 are on. All as SUFC is spawned. Lovely. Great way to start off. You're spawning tires up, yeah. If you're on mediums, you'll probably be pitting around lap 14 to around 16. That is the pit window, but the tire stations drop off as SUFC's been disqualified. That is a great way to start off for SUFC, especially on the hard tires as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned looking at that. He sort of spun off halfway down the straight, and it looked as if his car was just wheel spinning against the wall. So I hope it's not like either a pad or a pedal issue, because that could be disastrous into turn 1, or even the run down to turn 1. You know, if a car spins up on the line and just can spin it. I mean, it is we can see it here looking at this turn number 10. It is quite a tight track. There isn't much in the way of forgiveness, and when you can add in some of these walls, they're not that, you've not got quite the same runoff in certain places as you did in China, so it can be a place where debris can fly. Interesting though, with that rain coming in, how the choice for mediums and hards played out. Is this a case of maybe we're going to see people go medium soft and then hope for the rain coming earlier? We're going to see them just go medium hard and it comes right at the last second, or the hard runner's going to try and run it out until the rain. Of course, we don't know exactly what lap this rain's predicted or what lap it's coming in. I'd love if we had a little weather thing that we could somehow look at. That would be ideal, but unfortunately not a feature for us. But we will find out very, very shortly. 36 laps here in Brazil await us to find who will take the provisional victory in Tier 4 Round 2 of Season 8. Make sure to stick along with myself and Leroy for the full thing as the last of the drivers line up on the grid. I'm going to be on board. I'm watching at the front. We'll probably get a look at Wuban. He's going to be out on the outside in P3. 5 red lights are on then, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. SUFC seems to have gotten away all right, but of course cold tyres is getting bogged down and absolutely swapped. Victor Mean up a few positions, going around the outside of Murphy. There's a little bit of contact at the back. SUFC is out of this race. Last week's race winner and P2 and pole sitter from last week is now out. Ghost Danger 1 with a 5-second penalty for making collision under yellow flags, and it looks to be a VSC already here, Lee.
Yeah, I think SFC, he got hit in the rear and then he was in the middle of the pack. He obviously with cold eyes, he had an awful stand, which caused chaos. There's a lot of people waiting now. I think Schrodinger's has, I mean, I have one. I mean, there's quite a few people at the back winning damage. Yeah, just SFC spawn, I think getting hit. I want to say early, one of those on, one or the other. And then cut out damage really. Unfortunately, SFC, and last week's race winner, out at turn 1. It just really shows you how fortunes can change in the space of a week, Scott.
Absolutely. Give us with one hand, take it with the other, and that's got me a little worried for first tonight. We've seen a similar incident, a similar lap 1, turn 1 retirement in Tier 3. So definitely maybe take a cautious approach into that on Firsty, lads. It's not been serving us very well here on lap 1. Just a VSC though, so I'm assuming most people watching will have an idea of what that is, but there's essentially a speed limit on the track. You can only go a certain percentile of your main lap time. If you go over that, you'll get a drive-through penalty, but of course you don't want to be too far under it because you can get caught lacking and somebody can jump away. Green flags in here in Brazil. IR Marshall into the pit, so he must have got caught up in some way or another roundabout in turn 1. I believe AFL as oh no, it's just the graphic glitching out. He dropped down a few positions there, but coming back up. He's side by side with Curly though. Curly, I believe, has made quite a jump in positions. Yes, he's up. No, he's only up 1. It's Mark Wilson, in fact, that's up a lot. His teammate, he's up 7 positions already. DS Baker up 8, as is the Maverick, with Sappin both up 7. 3 pits though, the 2 Ferraris and Hasbulla. So the Alfa Romeo and the Ferraris not having a great time here on lap 1. The on board then with Curly moving through the middle sector into how he described it, the Albon corner. This battle for P5 in the grid just for that VSC sort of stretched itself out a little bit here. Some gaps forming already.
Yeah, and well, we still have a few battles. Obviously, a VSC is a different safety car that should be enabled as obviously we're crossing the line now, as it would be now. It will be sticking with Victor Mean on the hires is also sticking with these two, which is very important for him because if he can stick with these guys, obviously it was hard to become the better tire soon, like in a few laps. So and the longer you keep with them, the better we'll get for Victor Mean.
Absolutely, if he can hang on through the corners, use the DRS, use a little bit of ERS maybe when he needs, when he has to and needs to. Like you say, lap 14 to maybe even as early as 12. We've seen it in the past. Those mediums will be ready for a quick little change. So, like you say, a few laps time. Although we're talking about 10 to 14 laps in the future here. It doesn't take long for the pace to go off, but if you see that Victor Mean having an almighty tank slapper on the exit of turn number 9, does hold it well but loses out a little bit of time and drops out of that DRS range from Wuban and Deluxe, so that could play a little bit of havoc of him. That'll be like dinner plates for eyes for Murphy. He's closing in on the DRS range of the car in front. He's still got a full tank of the battery as well, as Curly gets a move done on AFL on the run up the hill. The battle for P5 raging on, a freeway battle between 2 of the Red Bulls and 1 of the McLarens, and Mark Wilson says thank you very much, I'll just follow my teammate on through using the DRS. AFL drifting onto the grass there for a second, that'll be affecting his braking and traction. in the mid corner, and Mean Moody into the pits on lap 3 as well. Must have been a little bit of a collision further down the field there.
Yeah, Luban second with Dorsey. In terms of battles, what's happened is about to pass Ghost Angel 1 into turn 4. He goes down the inside, but Ghost Angel 1 breaks it running outside. He's trying to hold it now, and he holds on to it. That's very good defending by Ghost Angel 1, and he holds himself mine for another 2 corners.
Beautiful racecraft from these pair, and beautiful defending from the German driver in the Alpha Tauri, holds it round about the outside of turn 4. Of course, not the easiest to do at the best of times, particularly when you're on hards versus your opponent's medium tyres. So a lovely, lovely display of skill and just general respect between the two drivers. We've seen a lot of that last week. Mark Wilson then is having another look and another run at his teammate this time into turn 1. Going to make it 2 laps, 2 overtakes into turn 1. And another driver on the hards currently up into P5, up a number of positions as well in the start. We've seen he's got pace. He's displayed that at times with podiums last season with solid qualifying results. A little bit of inconsistency in the race, maybe losing him. He is already at less than 30% ERA, so he has been burning through that battery early doors, but to make up through the field, it might just be worth it. Out the front, Wuban still chasing it down Deluxe. Victor Mean has lost a bit of time to the front two, just a couple of tenths over the last few laps, as has Murphy to Victor Mean. So these front 4 spacing out a little bit, but Wuban hanging in at the moment. And he is a little bit down in battery versus the German in Deluxe, but it's a long way to go in this Grand Prix. These are 2 front runners at the moment. The battle for P5 still raging on though. Curly this time gonna have the DRS and the run, and look at that full tank of battery he's got versus Mark's 40%. He's got a lot more energy to use. Don't forget AFL though, he's lurking in the background. He's gonna have double slip, DRS and ERS, and might try and make a run, at least not for the move, but to set up a move on the exit of turn 3 down the straight towards turn 4.
Yeah, it's currently on the back of Macros. Yeah, I said Macros in a number of positions. And on the hard tires, that is what you want. But Victor Mean, as Ruben has dropped out of Doshi's DRS, and Doshi's just seen that in the pace at the moment, but obviously it's still early doors, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Curly now on the back of Macros, and I wonder if they're in a party. I wonder if they'll be talking to each other, seeing if maybe they won't fight each other, or if there'll be elbows out. As me and Moody said last lap of the race, he pitted 2 laps ago. As Ghost Angel 1 and his teammate come running outside of him. Ghost Angel 1, oh my god, he almost sent it back down the inside of him there. Oh, as he's lost the back end, and I'm not sure which one is at the back from it. If one didn't, he's very close to hitting him, but some action towards the back there, Scott.
Yeah, caught that just in time. It looks as if there's a little bit of contact between Trundles and Ghost Angel 1. Trundles, I don't know if there's any damage to the front of that Williams. It looks to be intact, but we know how tricky the damage model can be at times. Ghost Angel 1 losing out a position there and having an unfortunate little spin with Stappen making the move on Maverick on the run down to turn 1. He's up into P10 at it stands in the gaps. Really starting to space out. The closest battle is this battle for P10. Everybody else at least a second adrift from the car in front. DRS well and truly out of the equation for the front runner battles, but still raging on it down through the mid pack of the field. Ghost Angel 1, the first of our grid to pick up a 3 second time penalty for cutting the track. And I just looking for a second there, I seen an Aston Martin facing the wrong way causing yellow flags, and I thought for a second, is it our race leader once again? But no, it's the man with no luck to his name. It's Spider Rob having a spin on the exit of turn number 8.
Yeah, and he had a spin on the exit turn number 9 as well. His wings gone. As he says, Spider Rob just has not got the look of the green, and then hopefully eventually look what to remember. Mark Wilson is chasing down Murphy here, 1.5. The gap was about 2 seconds from laps to go, but as usual, DRS. But Mark Wilson is looking a very good pacer, as well as Victor Mean. only 1% behind Murphy. So I mean, I think it's good. This race will be one of those where we have to wait for our action, but I think we'll definitely get it somewhere else. Crowds are starting to come in a little bit. That rain could be sooner in coming than what we first thought.
Yeah, you compare it to where we started this Grand Prix, it's a lot greyer, a lot cloudier, and a lot more loomy looking. Spider Rob into the pits. He must have been some sort of contact there then. I'm assuming a wing change going in the front of that Aston Martin, but like you say, we'll wait and see how the rain comes down. If it stays off, it's the longer the better essentially for the hard runners. If it stays off until round about their pit stop, it is ideal for them. If it does stay off, of course, we'll get to see the battle as the hards slowly become the better tyre, and then the mediums go for the undercut. But of course, the hards will go onto the mediums and then have a bit more pace towards the end. But that's all only if the rain stays away. Trunders is having a look at the rear of the AlphaTauri of BX37 Pro, who goes a little wide through the mid-pack of turn at number 12. ERS and DRS is going to assist Trunders. He might not even need the DRS, so we're going to be alongside by that stage as the Williams on the AlphaTauri. Trunders on the outside, BX37 Pro on the inside, and Trunders is going to get the move done just in time before turn 1. No need to go for some side-by-side action, but BX37 Pro is going to have a good run now through turns 2 and 3. DRS back open on the AlphaTauri. He's going to dip in, get as much as that slip as he can, a little bit of side slip of course, and goes to the inside for turn 4. Just about gets the move done, and a nice little bit of back and forth between these two, but ultimately it's going to cost them both time. But they are not caring, they're putting on quite the show. The run up to turn 6, then the up right-hander, uphill right-hander, turns into 7 and then 8. Trunders had a little think about it for a second, decided not to try and send one down the inside. Scooter climb though, sitting watching with anticipation. He's just waiting for an opportunity to appear. Mark Wilson further up the field, he's caught up with DRS on Murphy. Will quickly jump to that as there's a yellow flag somewhere apparently. Maverick having a spin in the Williams, not having the best of races at the moment. Of course, only lap 10.
Oh, Luxie spun it. Luxie spun it. Coming out of turn 3, the Luxie he's repeated last week's mistakes, but he has wing dampers now after pit. The Luxie, I'm not sure I quite how he spun there. It's very, very late into the corner, but the Luxie repeating mistakes from last week, and that has gifted Wuban the lead and McNamee up a second, and Murphy in the podium spot now.
It's a really, really strange. Like you say, it's very, very strange. Unless the only way I can think is that he's run a little bit wide, or he's had a little snap to the outside, tried to catch it, and he's flung himself back across to the left. It is a very, very strange place. Normally, like you say, you either go right early on that inside curb, right on the apex of turn 3, or you drift out wide, lose it on the curb out there, and you sort of either end up in the wall on the right, or you just sort of half spin in the middle of nowhere and don't damage your wing. But that's disaster for the German. 2 races in a row, he's had a spin from a commanding podium position, this time at a potential race winning position, and that is big, big news if your name's Victor Mean or Mark Wilson, both in the hards, and indeed Murphy and Wuban. Wuban, a little bit more less pressure on him. He's not going to chase somebody down. He can just focus on keeping the gap behind as Murphy feels the pressure of Mark Wilson making a mistake through turn 3. A little wiggle from that McLaren, losing a lot of entry speed for the straight, and with the help of DRS, Mark Wilson is going to get the move done up into P3 as things stand. Murphy then will be looking to try and hold on as the hards slowly become the better tyre. Deluxe into the hards. I mean, it's not impossible to take them the full way. It is going to be a little bit of a push. They are going to be screaming by the end of things, but definitely on the cards. Further back, Trunders and Ben are still having this battle for the ages. Side by side on the exit of turn 4 and 5. Up the hill into 6. Trunders on the inside. Ben on the outside. And Ben loses it under turning. Just about keeps the car going straight with the help of a little rebound off the side pod of the Williams. That just shows you turn 6, a tricky corner as things stand. And when you get too much turning angle, trying to go round the outside with too much speed, the car will just snap under you.
Yeah, so I don't know, Spider obviously he's very snug on the palm, he's on intermediates, which makes you think one of two things. Either he's just gone on inters for the vibes, or, as you can see, it's gotten very overcast. I reckon this rain is going to come in the next few months, which, I mean, according to Victor Mean, it was meant to come towards the end, which means he's 5.5. We know this game is broken, so it definitely could have said it was coming towards the end, and it's coming about not even halfway through the race, about we're a third of the way through the race, so rain could be just what we need to spice up this race, Scott.
Could be just about on the cards. I'm not sure. Is that little? I don't know if I'm seeing little raindrops or if it's just me imagining things. It looks to be very, very light, and the track getting a little layer of grease in it by the looks of things. So the rain just maybe a few laps
Yeah, it's
away,
coming
like you
down,
say,
yeah.
Lee. It is. I was thinking there for a second. Is my
Right.
screen starting to tear? Am I getting pixel loss or something? But no, it is rain droplets here in Brazil. It's kind of good for both, I suppose. You know, if it comes down quick, it favours the medium a bit more. But if it stays like this for maybe a lap or two more, the mediums could maybe just start to outstretch their life. And of course, in greasy conditions, yes, the mediums are going to heat up a bit more. They're going to get into a workable range a bit easier. But you've got less tyre life as it is, and when you're struggling for grip, that could affect you detrimentally. The hards, the longer this stays dry, the better for them, because they can ultimately gain on those struggling mediums. They can try and pit at the more optimal time for their tyres. But yeah, Spider Rob made the call very early. Didn't even notice that. Maybe a little bit too early. So we'll wait and see how this all pans out. While I was waffling on there, Mark Wilson picked up a free second time penalty for track extensions. He's still in P3. He's actually gapped Murphy by 3.4 seconds. Murphy now fallen into the clutches of his teammate WTL Curley. The battle for P4 raging on between these two. But I think we're about to get a huge, huge dollop of spice into this race here, Lee.
Yes, we are, and this Victor Mean is now just about within the DRS range of Ruben. As you said, the medium tyres thing are starting to drop off, and now with the rain coming out, it's only going to increase that drop off. But yeah, Mark Roasted Kane. I mean, this race, as you said, Scott, as well to spice up, I think, and they said especially how how quickly will the rain come down. Sorry, seems to be holding off from there for a moment, but as we know, it's Brazil. All of a sudden, a one lap could be nothing, and next lap it could be full wet, you know. So that's just the fun of Brazil.
Absolutely.
As Victor Mean is now right in the back of Ruben.
Yeah, Victor Mean lost out a little bit of time there. I think it was, I believe it was Spider Rob on the intermediates. He was sort of, just his position on the track was ideal for Wuban, giving him a DRS, because of course you need to be within a second of the car in front, and that includes lapped traffic. So Wuban crossing that detection line within a second of the intermediate running Aston Martin of Spider Rob. He picked up the DRS, got it down the straight, and helped them hold this lead, basically counteracting the DRS that Victor Mean had. Mark Wilson, though, he's on an almighty charge on these hards, closing up that gap. He's gapped Murphy and Co by 5.3 seconds, probably about 2 seconds in the last lap by the looks of things. Maybe just catching it a bit better in these tricky conditions. So he's trying to get involved in this fight for the not just the podium, I suppose, but for the actual win. Of course, 3 second time penalty laying over his shoulders. I don't know which battle to look at. We'll look at the battle for the lead, because Victor Mean looks like he's going to make a move down into turn 1 for the race lead. Yes, he is. The Mercedes on the inside getting down inside ahead of the Haas and gets the move done, but the Haas gonna now have maybe a slightly better run down towards turn 4. He's gonna have DRS, he's gonna have slip, and is he going to be close enough to make a move? No, he is not. He's going to reel in to within 3/10, but he's not going to be able to make a move further back. Curley and Murphy still battling out. Murphy's still holding on. The two of these pretty comfy when it comes to ERS compared to some of the field. So able to battle it out a bit more readily than others. And we said there was plenty of gaps for him, and look how much this grid's came together. There's battles all over the place now, Lee, including IR Marshall and Deluxe all the way down in 15th. Deluxe after his spin, he's on a recovery drive here. He's got the DRS and he's going to make a move pretty easy, you must say. The two on last week's podium sitter gets up into P15.
Marshall going for a switchback.
Marshall is, I've never even seen him there sneaking to the inside, uphill into turn number 6. We've seen Ben trying to hold it round the outside here. An opportunity opened up for maybe a split second, but I don't think you can get a Fiat Punto in there, let alone an F1 car. It's Deluxe almost makes another mistake and almost loses it the same way Spider Rob, his teammate, did on the exit of turn 10, but he is going to hold position for now. Mark Wilson up in that battle. There's yellow flags in sector 1.
Yeah, I think it was just Rob by me boy.
Right. I see. Mark Wilson then getting very close to the rear of Wuban. Victor Mean starting to pull out a little bit of a gap here. Can he break the 1 second DRS? just about on the cusp. He might be able to do it with an almighty middle sector here. In fact, he's just about done it on the upwards 6 and 7. So this could leave Wuban dropping it down the order just as those mediums start to die off. You can see the gap that's pulled out from Murphy to this front three just with those mediums dying off. And it looks to me as if they're all just trying to stretch them till it's time for the intermediates. And yes, they are going to be able to do it, but they're losing time hand over fist as it seems.
Yeah, it's obviously. I think, as you said, Scott, the longer this rain takes, the better it's going to be for Mark Wilson and Victor Mean. I mean, Ruben Todd must have screaming by now if the rain was coming straight, I mean, he either has to make an early call or he's going to get a puncture, really. So he's on a good position now. It's Mark Wilson trying to go down the inside. He holds off an hour. If you're Mark Wilson, you want to do it as soon as possible. I mean, being behind Ruben, I'll always keep him with Victor Mean. It's just going to lose you more time, but he's getting on the Haas. But no, Ruben doing very well the whole Hall's being tires at the moment. 16 laps. I mean, that is where how long the pit window will be. But this raid is taking its sweet time to come down to. I think it's just teasing us.
It certainly is. It's been about 4 to 5 laps now. We've seen the rain just slowly creeping down. It's not really came to much more than a drizzle. And it would be a twist if it just suddenly decided to shoot off. And Maverick is a retirement. That's in the exit of turn 3, and it's a full course safety car. Now is the time for big boy decisions, Lee. Who's going to be brave?
I reckon Ruben will definitely, but I reckon the medium was a bit, but that. Oh, I don't know. I mean, this is spiced up things here, Scott. As who will pit? Let's see. Will Victor Mean come into the pits? And yes, he is. Ruben pits, Mark Wilson pits. I think everyone's going to go into the pits. I think Victor Mean sped.
That's does Ruben.
And now Mark Wilson on the event road issue. Obviously, everyone will catch up. I mean, Murphy will be the one with no pens, and then Murphy will be in the net lead. It's crazy things like Mark Wilson and Victor Mean have gone on to the mediums.
Wuban onto the hards. Oh, this is a bold call. Murphy then, I'm on board with him. It is the white stripe hards going on him. Maybe I'm right in saying that it's just a sprinkle of rain. It's going to disappear very, very shortly. And maybe it's going to be a dry race for the full way. The rest of the cars seeming to be to all going for EFL going for the softs. That was a bold strategy indeed. So maybe the rain is coming, just not quite as quick as we might think. Deluxe chooses to stay out. He's back up to P6. You can understand his reason for that, opting for the track position. FRL Moody also on to the softs. This is spicy indeed. I noticed there Murphy, I was saying he was losing a lot of time on the mediums. I believe he had a front wing change there, so maybe a bit of damage was playing havoc for his grip levels. So he's up into P5. Curley, your net race leader, effectively somehow jumping Murphy in the pits. I believe that was due to that wing change. So we've got a race in our hands now, Lee.
Yes, we do, obviously. Now, the advantage that Mark Wilson and Victor Mean have is that they are mediums, but obviously Mark Wilson has an advantage also on using power. But as we've seen, the hard runners, this whole race, like Victor Mean, Mark Wilson have been able to keep as a medium runners. So, obviously, on lower fuel, it would mean that those mediums will wear less, but taking the mediums 18 laps or the next half of the race would be a difficult task for Victor Mean and Mark Wilson. So, it could be a case of an SSC last week where the mediums are good. Definitely a lot faster, but if Ruben and Craig can hold on, then they'll reap the rewards towards the end of the race. But who knows? We could end up getting rain. I mean, this Brazilian Grand Prix has us guessing, which is why, as I said, we love Brazil.
Absolutely, it flows up so many twists and so many turns. Wuban, of course, as well, just getting a little bit of better luck in the pits almost. Like he was down looking at near enough to P2, P3. He's managed to jump Victor Mean. Big news if your name is Spider Rob. Somehow he played it absolutely majestically. I love to see that. So many people make the mistake of being a lap down and the leaders are in front of them and they decide to follow them into the pit. Nah, he decided to do another lap on his intermediates, get himself back on the lead lap. He's on a fresh set of mediums. He's suddenly back in this race. Granted, he's going to be right at the back in P18. He's got a lot of catching up to do, but he's still got a chance. BX37 Pro has followed suit, as a few others. He's on the softs. So we've got all three of the dry compounds here on the track. All of them pretty fresh, apart from Deluxe's 8-lap-old hards. Like you said previously, if it does stay dry for the full race, the mediums, yes, we're going to have a couple of laps under our safety car. Yes, there's going to be less fuel, less weight, less wear on the car and the tyres. But they're ultimately going to fall away compared to the hards. So Victor Mean and Mark Wilson are going to have to use that advantage while they can, and maybe try and defend later on. Of course, it's going to be made harder all the while as this race goes on if it stays like this weather conditions. For the soft runners though, they're gambling on this rain just lasting about 5 laps maybe, and then deciding to absolutely throw it down as Victor Mean shows us his drifting style through turn number 12, getting that Mercedes sideways. This could be a chaotic race restart here, Lee.
Yeah, definitely could. I mean, Deluxe, he was at the back 2 minutes ago, and now he's P6. Obviously, on 8-lap-old hard, that means you have to take the levels. Let me do math there. 26 laps, I think. Yeah, my math is correct, I think. Yes, it is. So, he might not make it to the end, but I've seen bolder tyre strategies work, so who knows? But Deluxe. And also, spoiler, Rob, this is why we said it about last week, and we'll say it again. So you keep on going. I mean, Rob was a lap down, could have easily retired. I think no one would have blamed him, but now he kept on going and he's back with a chance to decent points, obviously, on the mediums. And Rob had pace, don't forget, he had pace before he spun, so Rob could definitely still get some good points here.
Absolutely, he can make a late charge up through the field. 12 points paying positions, of course, here, as is always in CRL, so potential to make some overtakes, make some moves and get back into the points, like you say. From being in a position where you could turn around and say, I might as well just retire. Always keep it going, because you never know what's going to happen. You could be 3 laps down, but if enough people make a mistake, crash out, get themselves disqualified, you can still end up with points. So yeah, never give up, never surrender, as that old meme goes. He is back on the rear of the pack, and hopefully that means we can get back to green flag racing on the start of lap 21. It will be a 16-lap sprint to the end, pretty much the ideal sprint for the mediums, but of course they've done a few laps, and Wuban getting a little bit shaky with it, and Victor Mean, he was trying to sneak on through.
He currently did the same, he's now got down to P10.
Oh, I never even noticed. Just shows maybe how greasy this track's getting. It looks like, to me anyway, the rain is getting a little bit heavier. It's still droplets, it's still just spits. Scooter claim a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I'm not too sure what that's for. Is Victor Mean? Oh my lordy lord. What does that? This is well, I did say it could be a chaotic race start. Of course, Victor Mean in P2, having that spin means everybody else gets the warning to stay behind. They probably could have blitzed on past.
There's contact as well. Oh my.
Oh, what if I came back to those 4 cars in the wall?
I don't know what just happened, honestly. I've just seen DS Big around, I've seen Ghost Danger around, I've seen Verstappen around. I don't know what just happened, to be honest with you, Scott. I really don't know.
This is all. I'm lost for words. Murphy was up there. He got caught up in the Victor Mean incident, I believe so. As was Curley, although he had a spin, put him down into P10. Mark Wilson, I believe, got caught up. He got fortunate. He's currently running in P4. But Wuban has got a 6-second gap over P2 as things stand because of that, because everybody else getting held up. I believe Verstappen, or his Scooter Claims, had a little bit of a spin. Mark Wilson going for a move around the outside of Trundles, turns to the inside. It is the outside, sorry, of turn number 11. He is going to have a little look on the inside into 12 and forces up. I think this is intermediate conditions. There's little... There's definite... yeah, look at that. There's so much water just starting to pool in this track. It's slowly coming in. And I think that's what the issue was in the restart. Cold tyres, of course. You're not able to go at the same speed to warm up the softs, warm up the mediums, warm up the hards. And then just standing water on the track, or dampness on the track at least, really playing havoc on the restart here. Hasbulla is into the pits. Let's see, does he go for the inters? That says DS Baker. This could be huge for them because they could gain time hand over foot here. Yep, it is the intermediates, and if somebody had gambled under the safety car, could have been huge.
Not on intermediates as yeah, but I mean, The Luxie and Spider, two Aston Martins, are dead and buried about 5 laps ago. And now one's in P2 and one's in P6. I remember we went to that second time pound. And the Luxie, we were right on the back of him towards the Luxie. But they're going from first to last to first again in the space of about 10 laps. It's crazy.
It's incredible. Spider Rob, like you say, he was a lap down. He's now in P6. No, he's not. He's in P5.
Oh.
As mean that man, Moody, goes wide there. Goes stage 1, getting a 10-second penalty for corner cut, and I think he's had a slide and just came across the grass. It's time for intermediates, lads. Get the green stripes on.
Just pay it, boys, please. Mark Wilson, Mark Wilson's in. Okay, he's only taking the element here. Mark Wilson will be the first out of the front guys in, but the back marks in this race currently being the furthest up. Could get a lot of timers. Tolfer's in, Mark Wilson's in, and I reckon those two are going to see a big gain in slappers now for the guys who have stayed out. I think it's the case of surviving, really. I think.
I'm going to call it here now. Mark Wilson, Topher, Mean, and Moody is going to be the podium. Assuming Moody puts on a set of intermediates. Yes, he does. He's an experienced driver. He knows what he needs to do, getting the front wing on as well, though that is going to cost him a bit of time. We'll see how much Topher actually jumped Mark Wilson there on the pitch, so we'll see how much time these guys gain on the front runners. I am incredibly baffled, I think, is the only way I can really describe my emotion right now. I suppose it is tier 4 we have to bear in mind. It is our least experienced tier, so there is little things for this creeping in, but you can't help but feel if one of them had gambled and just decided, I'm going to choose the intermediates because this rain is coming in at some point, under that safety car, they would be flying ahead right now. They would be miles in the lead. They'd be gone. Wiban then going another lap. He must be feeling comfortable enough, but
Luxie as well.
Trundles is making the choice to come in. Spider Rob is sticking out. What about VX37 Pro? He's in from the softs. With Stappen, how is he going to come in? I mean, you can just look at the time he's sort of losing here and there to Topher and Co behind. Stappen is into the pits. I think that's
on the exit of Junsell. He spun around, but yeah, I'm looking at the leader. It's about 32 seconds. And so last lap, it's now 29.9, so I don't understand why they haven't pitted it. But Trundles, will he get out ahead of Tolfer? He actually will. So Trundles has, I think, maybe proven that they haven't lost that much time yet. But Trundles, will he get ahead of Ferrari? He will, and that is big for Trundles. He can now try and push on. And if these guys at the front keep on staying out, maybe even one extra lap, that could see them costing it. Surely, if you're Wuban, if you're the Luxie, if you're Spider, but Spider Rob, sorry, hoping the Luxie pit, because he's going to get held up in the pits by his teammate if they both pit this after. I'm assuming they both will. But yeah, coming around the final corner for Wuban, obviously. Yeah, sure, it's 5 seconds on it.
Oh, Trundles has a spin on the exit of turn 7. He's probably going to get. I'm surprised he must maybe got just a warning there. He did cut across the grass there. Lucky not to get an instant 5. He's staying out once more. I mean,
the Luxie's out with boys.
Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe the rain is going away. Who knows? We'll wait and see. Trundles having a little spin. Of course, the intermediates still need time to heat up. And we've got a battle here for what is P4, which could actually end up being for the provisional race win. 20.6 is the gap from P3 to P4. We'll keep an eye on that time. But even just look at the run up the hill. It is cutting down. It's cut down by a 10th already. And this is on the straights, let alone the corners. Topher then going to go for a move down the inside into turn 1. On the Williams of Trundles.
Great move from the Ferrari now. He sounds right. I mean, they're already gained a second. Like what? A few corners. Sure, they have to put this off, but I reckon this is Austin. Obviously, but I mean, they're gaining about what 3-4 seconds lap now. I think this would cost both of these guys, and I reckon we could see Tolfer when everyone decides to pit. If they decide to pit, honestly, I'm not sure anymore, Scott. I mean, they're confusing me, but you know, maybe as you said, maybe they know something we don't. Either isn't going to stay, we don't know, honestly. This race baffles my mind.
This is... oh, I'm dreading the steering meeting tomorrow night following that safety car restart. I'll let you know that one for free, folks. But it is what it is. Wiban staying out. What about the two Aston Martins? Spider Rob doesn't pit, neither does his teammate.
They are fully sending this towards the end. They have to be. There's no one way to think of. I mean... Topher, he's not saying surely he's going to catch some money in this yellow fire. I think that is Ghost Ninja 1 is spinning in. Ghost Ninja 1 still out on mediums. I respect the persistence, but I think now surely it's time to come in as Spider Rob is going to go down the inside of his teammate here. I mean, dry tires on a wet track. This must be some challenge or something. As you go down the inside of the low, see all of them can't tap a spider rob. Now it's only 4.5 seconds off the lead. He was a lap down before all this chaos ensues. Going.
Yeah, he's back up in. As strange as it sounds, with a chance at winning the race. It all depends on these Inter guys, I suppose. They are gaining time, absolutely hand over fist, a couple of seconds a lap. Now, there is 10 laps to go, plus this one, so 10.5 laps, shall we say. Realistically, if the intermediate runners can gain 1.8 seconds a lap, they're currently gaming about 2.5. They're going to be up in the battle, and you'll notice a huge time game here through the middle sector by these intermediate runners.
Stays out, yeah. I think Ruban is fully committing to this now. Spider up, yeah. I think these guys are fully committing to the slick strategy now. Very bold as Tolfer's gained another few seconds to slap. I reckon him cashes obviously, but Spider Rob, if the race were to end now, with Ruban's 5 second penalty, Spider Rob from a lap down would win the Brazilian Grand Prix here in Cologne. This is just crazy.
It is absolute madness. It is, yeah. I don't think in all my seasons this will be my 5th season that I've commentated in. Yeah, just one race in Tier 4 in Season 4, and then since Season 5 I've been part of, in some way, one or another, in the commentary team. I've never seen anything like this. When you consider there's 15 rounds a season, and I've been going for 4 full seasons, that's over 60 races I've commentated, and I've never seen anything like this. It is incredible. But we'll wait and see. The gap now 14.7 seconds. Of course, that's only to P3. There's a few extra seconds in there to P2, and then, of course, to P1. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. Topher, though, he's looking really quick, even compared to the other. Oh, I'm stuttering here. I'm going like a diesel engine. He's looking very quick compared to the other intermediate drivers. 2.8 seconds that gap now. Looking very good, particularly in the middle sector. So maybe running a slightly higher downforce. Maybe he was predicting this. Curly, he was up there at the start, and that little spin on the restart kind of hampered his efforts. P10 though, he's chasing down with Stappen. Hasbara, I've just noticed, and Go Stage 1 are still in the mediums in the mid pack. Hasbara is currently on for a points paying position. And Victor Mean, you can't help but feel a little bit upset for us too, as our intermediate runners are into the pits.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, it's just me or does it look like it's getting dry again?
Maybe it's swinging back, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
It looks to be soft tyres for the two of them.
Oh my days. Spider Rob is 8 laps away from winning this race. Obviously, he's been past Mike Bly, but if he says within 5 seconds to Wu, and he's going to win it. Maybe the Luxio with it. We don't know, Scott. This is crazy.
I'm normally, you know me, I normally like to fill all the day there. I normally like to keep talking. I normally like to keep it relevant and sort of poignant and try and keep it positive. I very nearly said a word that I shouldn't be saying, but I don't know what is going on here and what to look at, what to say. Yellow flags in the final sector. I believe that is DS Baker having a little spin. Murphy and
it's a safety car.
Oh my world. Right, Topher there in the front of the intermediate runners. He is into the pits. I expect we will see a soft, maybe a medium set. Trunders following suit, as does Mark Wilson. I expect all the intermediates to go, and I expect everybody to go in. The front three making it through before the safety car came out. So we could just have a sprint to the end here, Lee. We're probably going to get going about lap 30. Spider Rob getting a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags.
That means Deluxe is going to be leading everyone pits. Actually, I don't know, because Deluxe, no. I don't.
Deluxe is going to lose out in the double stack.
Yeah, I think
Mean Man Moody's kept going on the intermediates. What is going on?
No, you might as well, because I mean, you still got the pit.
I suppose, but Tier 4, you've frazzled me tonight, and I absolutely love it. This is what we love about league racing. This is what I love about Tier 4, because in Tier 1, everybody would be doing the exact same thing, because there is just one right answer, and they play the game enough to know what that answer is. I don't even play the game enough to know what the answer is, so the guys in Tier 4 definitely won. And
Bob's in, and Deluxe is in.
So he is going for the doubles. But I suppose he's not going to lose out much because the next car's 28 seconds down the road.
Yeah,
So
yes, the front will stay in the order they are, I think. Could be wrong, but yeah.
or maybe wrong as well because Spider Rob will be serving a 5 second time penalty, will he not, for
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
for
he
the
is.
for the yellow flags?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So Wuban in first, yeah, second. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, it's an Alpha Tauri that's a lap down. It's Ghost Angel 1. That's what the car was. Mean Mahmoudi into the pits then. Topher. Here comes the Ferrari. I don't think he's going to be quite good enough or close enough to make a run on the Aston Martins. But you never know if he can get his foot down through these couple of turns. It's going to be a little bit audacious and, yeah, completely out of the realms of possibility. But I always like the dream. Well, at least we know what's going on now, Lee.
We?
we've got a sprint to the end. It could be a 5, it could be a 6 lap sprint to the end. It's going to be on the softs with a couple of cars on the mediums at the back. I wonder if they just don't have a set of fresh softs and are hoping for that, fresh mediums are better than used softs. We're going to have fresh, essentially out the packet softs. We're going to have cars that are on laps, maybe done 1 or 2 laps, either maybe in quali or just under this safety car here. And we're going to have a few mediums at the back. So it kind of is all up in the air at the moment what is actually going to happen. The top 5 though, no penalties, so that's one less thing to worry about. Mark Wilson, Mean Moody, BX37 Pro, Verstappen P6 to P9 respectively, all with a 3-second penalty, as does Hasbala in P11 and Scooter Clem in P14. So Corley sitting in P10 at the moment is effectively net P6 with those penalties. So not as bad as he might think things are, despite getting the podium at last week. Murphy, I can't feel bad for him and Victor Mean. They got caught up. Well, Victor Mean potentially the cause of the whole shenanigans on the last restart, but them two get involved in that. Ghost Danger 1 also sitting on 13 seconds of penalties, 10-second penalty for drifting off the track, and just it's unfortunate sometimes the way you can spin around this circuit, it can actually fling you across a corner and let you pick up a penalty. There's the stops then, folks. Luban on a 2-stop, as is Darluxy. The rest of the field, Ghost Danger 1 on a 2 as well, sorry. The rest on the field, either a 3 or a 4-stop. It has been absolute chaos here. Spider Rob up 11, Topher up 7, Mark Wilson up 8, with Stappen up 11, BX37 Pro up 9. It's been a mad race. If this doesn't get voted race of the season, I'll be very, very surprised.
Yes, me too, Scott. As another thing, Ghost Danger 1 is in between the two Aston Martin. Hopefully, Ghost Danger 1 since we should hopefully move it away, but could be another inside for KS. Obviously, hopefully not, but yeah, it's gonna be a 5-hour sprint. This is why you should join me and Scott every Monday at 8:15.
You just never know what we're going to get. And of course, next time out, if you thought Brazil could be chaotic, could be throw up some incidents, some weather related chaos, some safety car related chaos, just wait till next week. We're in Monaco on the Mediterranean coast, of course, a place that is known for a little bit of rain, that is known for a little bit of safety cars. And speaking of safety cars, Bert Maylander is coming in this lap. A little bit of contact then between a few of the cars. Wuban slowing down at the pack as the new leader, doing it on the exit of the corner, catching a few of them off guard, but nobody getting a penalty since they seem to have resolved that this game. Wuban then will decide when we get racing it once again, and hopefully this is us green flags to the end and we can just have a race, a real raw race right to the checkered flag.
Bob's gone. Yeah, everyone's
he's gone.
Oh my god, and what the hell just happened there?
Trundles is out. What has happened there? That is on the run to the corner. It seems he got pushed out on the outside. I think Wuban leaving it as late as he can, catching Spider off guard. He was ready and waiting to go. Slammed on the brakes because realised, no, I can't go yet. And Deluxe has snuck on through. Hasbala as well. No, my arch nemesis making his debut. He was on for potential points. I say arch nemesis. I hope he's very new to the community. He won't quite get that, but a shame that on his debut. He was running a pretty solid race in the mid-pack for the most part. Unfortunate for him. It does mean, though, that all 12 drivers that are on the lead lap, of course, DS Baker and Ghost Danger 1 currently not, they're in for a points-paying position at least. And this battle for the lead is going to heat up tremendously. Mark Wilson has jumped up ahead of Topher. He has made his way up. Victor Mean's up from about P11 from the restart up to P7. So he is currently trying to charge on through, make as many points back as he can. He's on the rear of BX37 Pro on the rundown to turn 1 as the fastest lap comes in.
Deluxy on the outside of Wuban. He's made a mistake. What a move on the outside from Deluxy. He's in the lead. Obviously, he's his own troubles. But now, Deluxy, normally he's avenging the spin. He's avenging last week's errors. And this year I still tried to fight. But Wuban will be running his tail to the end. So don't think this race is over yet, because it definitely isn't. But I mean,
absolutely no, and don't discount the cars of Spider Rob, of Topher, potentially Mark Wilson. He has got that penalty, of course, and maybe even Victor Mean. He's been cutting through the field on this restart. All of them, though, low on the ERS. Topher saving up 62% versus, you know, we're looking at low 40s, 30s, some of them even as low as 8%. So that could maybe falter a few other attempts on the final laps. Of course, I believe we should have DRS once we cross the line. Have it for a few laps, of course, and it will be a 3-lap sprint with the DRS, with ERS, and just pushing whatever you've got left. The softs, though, they don't last too long. They'll have to watch they don't push too hard and maybe start the way through. Of course, it does say 4 laps for the Luxy softs, a couple of those on the safety car. He sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. DRS is enabled, and we'll get to see this top 4 have a little bit of a DRS train potentially. We're on board with Spider Rob then. He's coming up to the rear of Wuban, and he is going to pull in a little bit, but of course Wuban getting pulled along by Deluxy in front. Mark Wilson just hanging about in the background there, and you see the time that Topher loses out not by having the DRS, and he's maybe going to have to start to burn a little bit of the old ERS to try and catch up here, but he's going to be careful because he's got Victor Mean and co lurking in the background.
Yeah, imagine if Aston Martin get a 1-2 after one driver being lapped in and one driver being in 16th place after spin. I'm looking quite hopeless. I mean, this is just crazy, but Wuban, it's just the best out in DRS, and I mean, Rob will be hoping that his teammate can try and get him out of DRS, as I think he is. I mean, it's going up and down, so we'll just see. I think Wuban just got it, which is very good for him, even in front of them. But I think the Luxy might have this now. But who knows? I mean, the Wuban's burning to try and get away from Spider Rob. 2 laps to go here as any battles on track. Eframi Moody's about to go for one on BX Pro as he goes to the outside of the Mercedes. On the AlphaTauri, he makes the move, does he? Oh, there's contact and BX Pro's round.
Just catching that little bit of contact, forcing them onto that inside curb. The curbs here in Brazil can be tricky, they can be dangerous, and there is another example.
Rob.
Spider Rob, though, with a 3-second time penalty, and all of a sudden, Topher, if he can get his toe down a bit, could be on for a podium.
It was a bit out of pocket, but you know, we move.
And you know, it kind of made sense. The gap between himself and P3 at the moment is 3.6, 3.7-ish seconds, so it's fine lines here between what could be a Ferrari or an Aston Martin. And just as I say that, Victor Mean has sneaked on through. There could be the Mercedes sneak back onto the podium now. We'll have to wait and see. 3.1 seconds the gap to Mark Wilson. He also has a 3-second time penalty. Wuban and Deluxy then, no mistakes from then, looks set for at least a 1-2 at the worst case scenario, but we'll have to see what way that plays that out.
Mark Wilson gaining on Spider Rob. He's going to go down the inside. No, he holds back from the Aston Martin for now. As Victor Mean and Topher go side by side, there's contact between the two. But Topher got position back, but we'll put the front now. I think Wuban's just kept him in the air, but the Luxy seems to be, unless he spins, we've seen him do it before, but I don't know he's holding on for this P1. But the battle for the podium between Mark Wilson and Spider Rob is definitely over, as I don't know where the Luxy got. There's so many battles.
So much going on. The late safety car really throwing up the action. We'll keep an eye on then this battle for what is effectively P3. Yes, Wuban is in the firing line. He is going to be maybe pulled in with the DRS, but the 3-second time penalties for Spider and Mark Wilson will, of course, sort of disseminate any chance of that happening, unless, of course, there's a late bit of action from Mark Wilson. And that is a rear world's fear facing Red Bull, and Topher and co could just sneak on through here. Topher on for the P4, but up to the line. He narrowly missed out last week. He made a big mistake on the final lap. It cost him. He made a mistake here tonight, and then pandemonium ensued. It is going to be Deluxey, the German, in the Aston Martin, taking P1. Wiban, P2. Spider-Rob hanging on for P3. Tofar sneaking in for the Ferrari in P4. Victor Mean making a recovery to P5. Curly, Mean Manuri, Mark Wilson with that last lap spin. That's 2 weeks in a row we've seen somebody bottle a potential podium with a last lap spin. He finishes in P8 ahead of Scooter Claim, BX37 Pro, Verstappen and Murphy. Going to be the last of the finishers, the last of the point finishers. DS Baker and Ghost Danger 1, of course, make it home a lap down. Hasbala, Trunders, AFL, Marshall, the Maverick, and last week's winner, SUFC, all retiring from this race. And what a race it was.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, the Luxy. Well, what a comeback story. Wuban, it's a drive to all the chaos, obviously. Safety car, spin up, you know, cars all behind them, everybody to him, and Spider off, and lap down P3. And Scott, I'm going to ask you a very tough question. Who is your driver today?
Probably the weatherman, to be fair. No, I think I've got to. It is a tough one. It is actually probably the toughest one I've ever had. Deluxey, you know, put it on pole, put it in a brilliant position. He got the fastest lap. He got pole fastest lap and the race win. He takes maximum points for this Grand Prix. He had a spin. He was down in the pack. He made the recovery. Stuck it out in the hards through the rain. Had a brilliant drive. Kept it cool, calm, collected. Brilliant drive. Wiban, solid all the way through. P3 to P2, making the two-stopper work. One of the only few to do the two-stopper. Spider-Rob, I mean, his best race was up and down like a spider's web. He started off well. He got in qualifying, you know, P8, got a 5-place grid penalty, ended up down a lap, came back and finished on the podium somehow. So I generally don't think I can really pick one. I think if I had to, it's going to be a toss-up between the Aston Martin boys, and just for getting the triple result, I'm going to have to give it to Deluxey. Spider-Rob, though, a very honourable mention, as is Wiban. Big shout out to Hasbala and BX37 Pro. Hasbala making his debut as a reserve and as indeed a driver. BX37 Pro making his return. But that's our final standings here. Shall we try and see if any of our top three want a little chin wag?
Yes. Now you're please enlighten me on how you spell Deluxey's name.
So it is DER.
Yes.
LUX,
Yeah.
and then this is the secret bit, there's two I's.
Deluxey is invited, I will invite Ruben.
I'll just see if any of them, just to get confirmation. So we're not sitting here like dafties, you know, speaking to ourselves, trying to wait, see, are they joining? And they don't join. I've had that happen before. But what a race that was. I hope that all 20 of you watching. There's not been much going on in the chat. To be fair, it's been quite quiet. Danny Mack making an appearance, rotation, giving us a lovely little bit of further commentary from the chat, and everybody else gone quiet. I think they were a bit like ourselves at some point during that race. Lee just stunned into silence. That was definitely one for the history books. That we'll see if we ever get anything like that again. I don't know if we. I don't know. We've got a Deluxey's not up for an interview, but I can tell we have got a race engineer up for a chat. It was Deluxey's engineer, Steiny. I don't know if you want to invite him, but while you do that, Lee, I'll start by talking to a man who has been through a flood of emotions, not just this week, last week. Of course, China getting the DSQ, just unfortunate connection issues, it seems, game-breaking glitches. Tonight, getting a 5-place grid penalty in qualifying for nothing. Ended up near enough a lap down, running about in intermediates when it was still kind of dry, to somehow coming back to P3. I mean, we're in silence here. We don't know what to say, Spider. I cannot imagine what you're feeling right now after that.
At one point, because it looked like, because before that last safety car, obviously there was a 5-second time penalty on Wuban. My heart was beating like a drum because I thought at long last I was going for that maiden win, and then just that safety car came out. But after that race, after last week's race, just to be on the podium with some points, I'm happy. You don't know how happy I am.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, points paying position, podium paying position as well. Massive, massive points. From going from a DSQ, not even getting a single corner in last week, to being, definitely, I would say up probably the top 6 in the championship. I know it's only 2 rounds, but I think that's kind of where you're hoping to be this season. And yeah, solid drive tonight. We were saying that as well. Lee did point that out, that as things stand, you were provisional race winner before that last safety car. Speaking of that as well, I take it you had an inclination that the rain was going off pretty soon, and you didn't pit for the inters.
Basically, what happened was, when I pitted for those inters, when I spun out, I actually said, because I was talking to AFL at the time, I went, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on my terms. Then it started to rain, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick it out. Then when the safety car started again, just went, you know what, I'm going to jump back onto mediums, caught back up with the pack. And as that restart happened, I literally just slipped and slide like Lightning McQueen from Cars 1 and got back up to P6.
Yeah, it was definitely a chaotic safety car restart, and yeah, I think we did make a Cars reference actually earlier on, so that's the second one of tonight, coming through the grid in a bit of madness. I suppose my last question for you, Monaco next week. I don't know whether to be excited or dreading for it after what I've seen tonight, but how are you feeling for it, my friend?
Monaco, it's not a track that I enjoy, I'm not going to lie. However, it's pretty much going to be Demolition Derby next week, so it's going to be just get on the grid and just survive and just see how long you can stay in the race for.
Pretty much good advice for any track, I would say, more so for Monaco. Congratulations again tonight on, I believe it's your third podium here in CRL.
4th officially.
4th, well there you go. Oh yes, you had a couple not on track, but a couple with people being a little bit naughty ahead of you. So yeah, 4th podium for you. It nearly was the maiden win, but a brilliant drive.
It's coming. Yourself. It's 100% coming.
I've got every bit of faith. Lee, anything for Rob?
No, I mean, you stole all the questions, Scott, again. No, but Rob, I mean, congratulations. I'm very happy, man, to see that result. Obviously, just, I mean, that's a speech after that. If you just say, congratulations, and well, enjoy Monaco next week. I'm sure.
I'll be practicing Monaco for sure over this next week.
Definitely. Well, Wuban, unfortunately, our P2 not able to join us. A brilliant drive from him, though. One man that is able to join us, it isn't P1, it isn't Derluxy. He's I don't know, he's quite a shy gentleman. We do have the next best thing, though. A good friend of mine, who is Derluxy's race engineer. It is, of course, Mr. Steiny, Tier 1 driver. Tier 2 driver, sorry. So
you gave me hope there.
I give you hope. You maybe one day, but yeah, from an engineer's perspective, this will be a great one, and from especially a high echelon driver that's been up there at the top tiers. What was going on there, Steiny?
Let me just say, it was a very chaotic race. We saw every single tire compound on the grid at some point when the rain was there. There was a lot going on, a crazy safety car restart. My 2 friends, Ghost Engine 1 and Deluxy, absolutely on edge. There was so much drama on track, and of course the rain was perfect. It made the race absolutely super spicy, and I just kept telling my guys, double check your weather forecast. If it's not going to last too long, just stay out, and hoping that the other guys might pit, which happened actually. And then of course a lot of struggle, unfortunate for Luxy. He spun at the beginning, and that's a tough one to take, but then well-deserved W for him, especially after last week. So yeah, it was very exciting. Even for me, I had probably a heartbeat of 150 or something. So very entertaining.
Oh, definitely. You've pretty much hit the nail on the head. It is a real redemption arc for Derluxy, of course. Those that never seen that last week in China, on for a P2, potentially a P1, spinning on the back straight, or the entry to the back straight down China on the final lap, ending up P9. He spun again tonight on the exit of turn 3, went down through the pack, made the recovery drive, timed the tyre strategy to perfection, it must be said, and came home to take not just pole position, not just the fastest lap, but the win of the Grand Prix as well. Yeah, the party, of course, it is handy to have a race engineer like yourself. How are you? Are you joining the boys for Monaco next week?
Oh, I will definitely try to. It's gonna be, as Spider already said, demolition derby, and just try to survive. Maybe I'm guessing like 12 people will survive, but of course hoping for more. It's just gonna be like try not to hit each other, like take it easy, roll into the turns, and don't take it too aggressive because it's a very, very tough track, and I think qualifying is going to be the most important part, and yeah, probably 2-3 safety cars.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, when you sprinkle in the possibility of adverse weather, it's just going to be even more mental. As two great men have said, first being Michael Schumacher, first you have to finish. You need to make sure you can finish, and second of all, the absolute legend that is Jeff, take it easy into Sandevok. No heroics, you know. It's going to be an exciting one. I think that was probably the most exciting race I've ever commentated over. Lee, I'll hand it over to you. Anything for Steiny or just in general that you want to waffle about, because I think we're in need of a little rest.
Honestly, I'm still speechless. I mean, just as I said before, if you don't tune into Tier 5 on Monday, what are you doing with your life? I mean,
Missing out
that's
on entertainment like that.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like it's two. China was a great race. Brazil's one up there. I'm predicting less than 10 finishers next week at Monaco. So join us next week. It should be fun.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well then, lads, I think we'll round it off very quickly here, because me and Lee have just been sitting here screaming like just confused, just been madness for the last hour and a half, 2 hours or so. So yeah, we'll call things quits. But make sure you join back on the CRL channel on Thursday night, of course, 7:30 GMT. You have myself and our race winner engineer Steiny taking to the Tier 2 grid around Brazil
Boy.
for what is the banter tier, what is the best tier in my eyes in the grid. Then you can also watch little Leroy take to the track of Brazil at 8:30 on the same night for Tier 1, the pinnacle of league racing in CRL. But never mind all that. Next Monday, it's Monaco time. Same time, 8:15 PM. Same place, CRL YouTube channel. Make sure to join back for me and Lee as we take you around the streets of Monte Carlo for what is... Oh, I already cannot wait. Thank you all for joining in. Have a very, very wonderful rest of your evening, a very, very wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you again back this time next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
As a little callback to
Bye.
season 5, Baku, if anybody remembers.